Now, what do you mean you feel like Charlie Brown and the whole world is named Lucy? What does that mean, Lois?
Well, you know, Peanuts is Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
He's always being called a blockhead by Lucy for never doing anything right. He really believes he's a failure. I guess he's a good example of someone who doesn't feel good about himself because he judges his actions as inadequate, and because he receives a lot of negative criticism from others like Lucy.
But now, are feelings facts, though, Lois?
No, I realize that now.
Well, very good. You see, that's another all too familiar trap, is accepting negative feelings as being the facts. You really can't do that.
Charlie Brown and I are real experts at illogical thinking.
Well, I wouldn't say that now, Lois. I mean, you're doing a real good job as far as recognizing the kinds of illogical thoughts that can lead to negative feelings. But as far as Charlie is concerned, there's not a whole lot I can do to help him. But you know, speaking of facts, having those facts to support a negative feeling is kind of another illogical thinking trap.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, let me see. Let me give you an example. I know. Have you ever walked down the hall and said hi to a friend and have them not answer back?
Mr. Thatcher, you must be a mind reader. I mean, that just happened to me about a couple minutes ago.
Really? Well, now, how did you feel when that happened?
Awful. I mean, I said to myself, well, I wonder why Anna's mad at me. And what did I do to make her not like me anymore? It's still bothering me.
Well, did you ask her about it?
Well, no.
Well, now, you see, you don't have any evidence to support your negative feelings. I mean, it's possible Anna didn't even hear you. Or maybe she was thinking about something and didn't even notice you passed by. See, anyway, what you're doing is you're seeing yourself as the cause. And that's still another kind of illogical thinking. And yet we know there's no basis for it.
I guess I should talk to her.
No. What you need to say is, I will talk to Anna about the situation today, because it still bothers me and I know I'll feel better knowing why it happened. You see, you need to avoid, well, what I call using should, would statements when making decisions. It's another case of negative feelings. These statements kind of bring down your self-confidence by sending out a message that says you can't make a decision without being pushed or forced to do it. And, well, make that decision-making is kind of a hard process. You know what I mean?
Should is one of my favorite words. I mean, I'm always saying that I should study more often and I should do a better job at cleaning up my room. The thing is I never seem to get these things done.
Well, how do you feel when that happens?
Guilty, frustrated, like I can't do anything. Low self-esteem, you know, caused by a lot of negative feelings.
Yeah, and negative feelings are brought on by?
I know. Illogical thoughts that are not accurate because they're based on opinion and not fact.
Right.
You know, I've experienced every single cause of negative and illogical thoughts that we've been discussing. I've just never viewed them as traps that make me really come down on myself. But your clarifying them will definitely help me to avoid these in the future.
Hey, that's great. I'm really glad this is kind of helping you out a little bit, Lois. You know, self-awareness, well, being able to spot a low self-esteem trap before you fall into it is important for maintaining a positive image for ourselves.
What if I've already fallen into the trap? How do I get myself out?
Now, it does take a planned attack, Lois. Now, this involves recognizing negative feelings and thoughts. Now, identifying the causes, and then attacking them with the facts. But you got to make a clear distinction between opinions and facts. Now, when we were discussing the causes of negative feelings earlier, I asked you a question several times. Do you remember what it was?
Evidence. You asked about evidence.
Exactly. Now, what is your evidence? And once we looked for the evidence, we discovered that the negative thoughts didn't make too much sense. So you see, you already have a tool that's going to help you dig yourself out of a low self-esteem trap. Now, let's try digging out of one right now just to see how far we go, okay? Now, you came to me earlier today because you said you wanted to drop your English Lit class, right? Now, what was the negative thought behind that request?
Well, there were several of them. However, the main one was the term paper failure would give me a lower grade in the course.
Right.
Which would lower my grade point average. Which would blow my chances of studying journalism in college, which would ruin my life.
Now, what cause can you identify for giving you this illogical thought?
Well, more than one. I picked out a negative event and viewed the whole situation as negative. I had no facts to support the negative feeling, and I accepted these negative feelings as the truth.
Well, that's a very good point, Lois. Now, negative feelings and thoughts frequently do have more than one cause. Now, let's attack that negative feeling and its causes with the facts. What do you think? Can you carry on a good argument with yourself?
I think so. Let me try.
Okay.
How about this? The essay assignment is only 1 out of 15. I have no proof that all my other term papers will be just as bad. I have 14 more chances to do better. My next term paper will be great because I have learned from the mistakes of this one. My goal has always been to be a journalist. It's dumb to think that one class assignment is going to affect my whole life, because I know it can't.
Well, Lois, now that's an A+ for the day. Now just keep that positive attitude. You know, a healthy self-esteem is a very important ingredient for leading a full, rewarding life, like I told you. And setting goals, well, that's a great way to establish and maintain a positive self-esteem.
That's easy to say, but it's a bummer when you set a goal and don't achieve it, like my not making the basketball team.
Well, maybe that goal was an inappropriate one for you. You know, sometimes we can set ourselves up for failure unintentionally. Now let's think a minute. How many students tried out for the team, and how many were selected? And how talented were they compared to you? I mean, did all your friends make the team?
That's a lot of questions. Let me think for a minute. I'm beginning to see the point. At least 2 or 3 dozen girls tried out, and only 6 were selected. All the girls who made it were very talented players. Most of them were on the JV team. I really felt out of league, practicing against them since they're so much better players than I am. And only 2 of my friends tried out, and they're both experienced players. I guess I set a pretty dumb goal, didn't I?
No, well, I wouldn't call it dumb, Lois, but maybe it was a little unrealistic. I mean, goals are really important in life, and without them, you don't have anything to shoot for. Now, that's true about personal goals as well as career goals. Now, these goals, they need to be realistic and positive. And these are 2 very essential ingredients for maintaining a healthy self-esteem. And remember, people who are successful and feel good about themselves, well, they want to be successful, and therefore they do feel good about themselves. You see how it works?
You're right. My goal of making the basketball team wasn't very realistic. I really did set myself up for failure. Boy, did I blow a big hole in my positive self-esteem. But tell me, Mr. Thatcher, do you think my goal of going to college as a journalism major is a realistic goal?
Well, what do you think, Lois? Answer your own question, okay? And then just try to back it up with some evidence.
I think it is. I have a solid grade point average. I'm very good in English, most of the time. And I like to write, which is why I'm on the school paper. Guess I won't be needing that anymore.
What is this?
My drop form. Walking out of my English lit class isn't very logical, is it?
You said it, Lois. Don't let your guard down, okay? It's not hard for those negative thoughts and feelings to kind of creep up on us from time to time. But when they do, just take a hard look at them, determine what the causes are, and then fight back with the facts. And remember to keep your goals realistic and positive. I mean, that's very important for maintaining a positive self-esteem.
I won't forget.
Okay.
And thanks a lot. I think I'll be going to the prom with Tommy after all. The grouchy Lois he knows has just been replaced with a Lois who feels good about herself. And it's going to show.
Hey, that's a spirit, Lois.